Right guys, welcome back to another video, and again, it's absolutely boiling in England, hence why I've got the Celtics top on. It's so hot, like unbelievably hot. I don't know how it's this hot or why it's this hot. I've got some new lights, like here, and I've got a new ring light as well, so hopefully the video looks a bit better and a bit more presentable. Yeah, I'm sorry if there's any background noise, by the way. It's too hot to not have a window open, and I really do apologise. But today I wanted to talk about, is Man City unstoppable, right? So we obviously know Man City have made some interesting signings this season. For example, they have now officially signed Calvin Phillips, Erling Haaland, and it's 90% done that they're signing Cucurella from Brighton. Now, these are great signings. For example, right, when I bring up the team sheet on the video, you'll see their team was already the best team probably in the world on paper, other than Paris Saint-Germain, who we all know don't play extremely well together. So it's the mix of all the big names and all the best performing teams. So for example, you've got, starting off, the back line is improved. So you've got Ederson in goal, obviously. Then you've got Kyle Walker or Cancelo at right back. Then your centre backs, Ruben Diaz and Laporte, or even John Stones replacing one of those two if they're injured. You are selling Nathan Ake, however, never really played and wasn't really a big contributor within the Premier League season. Then at left back, instead of having to play João Cancelo in your best team, you can play him in his proper position, right back, and you can play Cucurella at left back. But then you do also have the cover of Zinchenko, you've got the cover of Cancelo who can play that left back position. So the possibilities are really endless for this Man City team, and I'm really excited for them. Defensively, they're going to be one of the most solid teams in the league, mainly because they have all the possession, but then you've got someone like Rodri covering that position, as well as you can put Calvin Phillips in that position as well to cover that back line, which is insane, right? So now they've got, because you'd assume they can't play Calvin Phillips and Rodri at the same time. That'd be a bit too defensive for how Man City want to play. However, we all know Man City players like Rodri can play in multiple positions, so maybe he might play a bit higher up and play in Gundogan's position, for example, a bit more of an 8 role rather than playing as a 6. Calvin Phillips could play as that 6, and then you've got obviously Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva in those midfield positions as well. Furthermore, they have obviously gotten rid of Gabriel Jesus. However, this is not a major issue when you're selling him and getting Haaland in return. Now, I love Haaland. I've watched him ever since he was at Salzburg. He's a great player. I don't know how well he's going to start, but if he starts how he started at Dortmund, I think he scored like 2 goals in his first game for Dortmund or something. If he starts that way for Man City, I don't see Man City being able to be stopped this season or any time in the future, really. They could go on and win it 5 times in a row, and that would not be a shock to me. And I don't think it'd be a shock to a lot of football fans, because then on the wing, you have Riyad Mahrez, who is one of the most technically gifted players in the whole of the Premier League, by the way. His touch, the way he shoots the ball, he's so precise and so good on the ball. He's one of the best wingers in the Premier League, but he doesn't even get the amount of minutes which he should. Then you've got Jack Grealish, who plays as a winger. You've got Phil Foden. You've got Bernardo Silva, who can play as that winger. You've even got Kevin De Bruyne, who can play in that front line. It's insane how many options they have. And then you've even got Gundogan, who can come on as well, playing in that kind of 8 role, which pushes Bernardo Silva or Kevin De Bruyne up the pitch furthermore, which means that they can now play that false 9 sort of style, or they could even play a more natural 4-3-3 with Haaland playing as the striker. In my opinion, this would be the best team. So you'd have Haaland playing as the striker, you'd have Riyad Mahrez coming off the right, and then you could either play Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, anyone really on the left that's left over. And that would be probably easily the best front 3 in the Premier League now, with, for example, Liverpool's front 3 being a bit demolished by Sadio Mane leaving the team, which would easily make Man City's front 3 the best front 3 in the league automatically. With the amount of goals that front 3 would score, and the rotation which you could do. Then you could swap Jack Grealish, you could put Phil Foden on the right and give Mahrez a rest, you could put Bernardo Silva on the right or left, or even playing as a false 9. You could play De Bruyne through the middle as a false 9. Then you've got players coming off the bench who could play as a striker. You've got Cole Palmer, you've got Alvarez who can come off the bench and make an impact as well. All of these Man City players are young. and a lot of them are in their prime as well. So you've got that mixture of young talent and players who are in their prime. Now, this is a great mix. This is what we've seen the Warriors do for years in basketball, for example. You'd have the experienced players that have won it all before, bedding in with these new young players that are some of the most exciting young players across the continent and the world. I don't see a hole within this Manchester City team, and that is the query I have with other teams and people saying, oh, this team could compete for it. I don't see it, because they've lost Sterling, who has just been replaced with Erling Haaland in that front three, and Sterling wasn't playing as much as he wanted to because of the mass talent that they have on the wing. Like, you can't play all of these amazing wingers at one time. It's impossible. You've only got 2 winger spots. So he didn't want to be there, he's left. However, your replacements are Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva. That's 4 already when you've only got 2 positions. Like, what more do you need? You don't need any more than that, which is crazy. And then you've got Nathan Ake, who has left, apparently. He's gone to Chelsea, which I think is a great signing for Chelsea. However, yet again, another player which they did have and then they've sold. Let's hope he can be better than Lukaku, hopefully for their sake. And then you obviously have Gabriel Jesus leaving to Arsenal, which shows the level Man City are on, right? This team is so confident that they can win it again. They've sold their one of their backup strikers to a rival, a top 6 team. They've just sold it to him, and they're selling a centre-back to Chelsea, the Champions League winner, not last year but the year before. They've sold them one of their centre-backs. The player is probably Chelsea's starting centre-back. That's crazy. They're really not bothered about who they're selling to. The only team I don't think they'd sell to is Liverpool, and that's it. I don't know if they care about selling to any other top 6 team. It's crazy. And I don't see Man City being stopped. Like, let me know in the comments if you see Man City being stopped, but I can't see it. Like, easily the best team in England, and now with this, probably the best team in the whole world. I don't see anyone that challenges it. People will say Champions League bottlers. They are Champions League bottlers. Wholeheartedly, I agree. However, at some point, the mass amount of talent which that team has, they're gonna do it one time. It's not like PSG, where PSG don't even win the league some seasons. This team is in the best league in the world, dominating every single season, having an average over 60% possession in every single game. They're the most ball-dominant team and play the best style of football since that Barcelona team managed by Pep Guardiola. It's getting to the point where this team, all they need is a star, which people were saying was obviously Kevin De Bruyne. However, that could be easily taken over by Haaland, and he could be the new Messi, Ronaldo kind of type, the Ballon d'Or winner for the next however many years, along with Mbappe. However, I reckon Haaland is more likely to win it because Haaland's in a team that's going to win more. It could easily be. People were saying that Liverpool could win the quadruple last season. This team has a better chance of winning the quadruple than Liverpool did. Like, I'm sorry. The amount of depth this team has is stupid insane. It doesn't make sense how much depth they have. And I don't understand where the faults lie. Where can you target in this team that is a bad fault? You still have left back saying, yeah, Cucurella isn't the best player in the world, but you've only seen him at Brighton where he's impressed so much that he's gone to Man City pretty much. And even if you don't want to play him, you can play one of the best right backs in the world at left back, Cancelo, who last season was arguably the best left back in the world when that's not even his position. So as you phase Kyle Walker out of the team, who's about 31 years old now, you can put him there, and hopefully Cucurella, who is young as well, will develop into the top player that we all know he can be. And that's the exciting thing about Man City, but also the scary thing as well. How dominant can this team be? Can they win the next 5 in a row? Can they win the next 10 in a row? Because I don't see many challenges. Liverpool's situation isn't sustainable to me. They don't have the funds. Manchester United are in the bin for at least 5 years, in my opinion. They're not getting back to the heights that they need to be to challenge. Tottenham. Arsenal are nowhere near. They're going to need about 5 years until half of their players are even in their prime. Under this new ownership, we don't know how much money they're going to be able to spend, where they're going to be able to spend it, and who's going to want to go there. And then it makes you wonder, is any team going to be able to challenge this team? Because in my opinion, once Mohamed Salah leaves, it's going to be quite hard for Liverpool to challenge in the same way. Even though they do have all these good young players, are they going to work? Whereas Man City, they take players from the Premier League that they know work. For example, Cucurella, Calvin Phillips, from these smaller teams, and they know they're going to work even if they don't start. They were the best players for their respective teams last season, and Man City have taken both. Liverpool have signed unknown quantities, and you could say the same thing about Erling Haaland playing in the German league as Nunes is playing in the Portuguese league. However, I don't agree that it's the same thing. In my opinion, the German league is a way better league than the Portuguese league, and people may disagree, but then you do have to wonder, Werner was one of the top scorers in the German league. Now, I'm not a stats guy, so I don't know if the stats they were putting up were even similar in any way whatsoever. But what I do know, Werner was electrifying in the Bundesliga, and to me that was all about his pace and power and the way he would just be able to carve through those high-lined defences. Now, the issue some people are having is they're obviously saying Bundesliga attacks, he's not going to be as good. Each player is different, and each player transitions to the league in different ways. And we've seen this throughout the time where you can't really predict a player's outcome in a different league, right? Some players can be amazing. You've seen this in reverse as well. To me, it's all about the player, and it's always down to the player. It's not really down to the league they come from. It's how the player plays, and does that league suit them, and how will they fare coming over to the Prem. Now, the issue for Man City is Haaland might not be ready to play straight away. He might need to adapt to the Premier League slowly, and they could still use them in Champions League games where he's more familiar with that situation. However, it's just the issue of, will he be able to come straight into this team and play the way everyone thinks he's going to play? Because that's a lot of pressure on a guy. And I know he seems quite egotistical, to be fair. He seems a bit like Zlatan in that sense, very strong-minded and strong-willed, and I respect that a lot. However, it does beg the question, is he going to perform at the level needed straight away? Will he need a season like Jack Grealish has done? He was a £100 million player as well that people expected to come in, score goals, assist goals, all of that stuff. He didn't really do it to start off with. And I think people might be a bit surprised on if he doesn't start to start off with, and if he doesn't score as many goals as people think he will. Hence why I don't have him in my Premier League team, my fantasy Premier League team that is. I just think people need to be a bit cautious on him. But then, you've got to consider, if Haaland's not scoring the goals, Kevin De Bruyne will, Foden will, Jack Grealish will, Riyad Mahrez will, Bernardo Silva will. Anyone else on that team will score the amount of goals that is needed. And that's just facts. Like, if he doesn't score the goals, someone else will. And that's the truth of it. And it's getting to the point where it's not looking good for the Premier League. And Man City could dominate for a number of years to come and be one of the most successful English teams in the whole history of football. It could happen, and people need to take them seriously. I know it's Man City and they're bottlers in the Champions League, but once they get through that, like they did with the Premier League, they're not going to stop winning it. And that's my opinion. Other teams like Real Madrid could beat them in a one-off game, but over the years, it's going to even out where Man City are the best team in the world. But anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed watching this video, I really do appreciate you. Sorry it's been a bit like all over the place. It's just boiling and I can't think straight when it's this hot. You probably see me sweating on the screen. It's so bad. But anyway, yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, I really do appreciate you, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate you.